Hi, this time I'm going to talk about using sounds or mimicking sounds in tabletop role-playing game sessions. This is not about using special effects or, pre-recorded sounds for different scenes or moments. This is about actually using your mouth to produce some sounds according to the context. Now, there are wrong ways on how to do this, and a perfect example would be when it comes to Shonner the clown or the fake role player Shonner. When he attempted to roleplay the first time, please check out the video in the description. Oh, one of the worst examples of roleplay that I have ever seen. He kept saying, and then I do the thing, beep, to do the thing, beep, and then the thing goes beep, and then the thing, beep. When someone does that, they do it in order to, well, it could be related to several reasons, but it's mostly related to hide their poor vocabulary. They lack the words, the intelligence, and the imagination to elaborate a proper description. It's so awful. So don't do it like that, but also do not feel discouraged when it comes to using sound effects in tabletop role-playing games, and I will explain why. When it comes to tabletop RPGs, because they are a shared experience. You create a fictional environment. You are experiencing the adventure. This is not a passive form of entertainment like movies, anime, etc. In those forms of entertainment, you are passive. You are waiting for the images to come to you and the sounds just as they are presented on the screen. Or when it comes to a radio show, you're getting that information, the voices, the sounds, all of it. But when it comes to tabletop RPGs, it is pure information, and it translates or transforms into an individual experience for each of the participants. Some things are established as the environment you are moving through, the non-player characters you are interacting with, the powers, skills, abilities that you employ, but everything else, everything is painted or composed according to the perception of that particular individual or participant of the session. So you could have 4 people at the table, or 5, or more or less, and even though they know the basics of the situation, they each come up with the shapes, the colors, the exact sounds of what is being presented, of what is being described. It is beautiful, it is magical, it is pure information that suddenly turns into this experience for each of the participants. Now, as long as you give a clear description, it is possible to help yourself or foster the sounds that are being produced during that particular moment. So you could say, as soon as you activate the alien device, a portal opens with a strange sound. Even though I made that imperfect representation of the sound according to how I imagine it, everyone else at the table, because they already have that description, that clear description, the only sounds as a sort of guide for them to imagine the sound. And so something really beautiful happens. Each person comes up with his or her own mental image, or rather experience of the session, of that particular moment. That's why I usually recommend not using images and even not relying on sounds, because they could present a lesser version of what the players had already imagined. So in the case of, I hope the lighting is good because the day has been somewhat cloudy, but okay. In the case of a particular individual, he or she may be imagining this wonderful place, and suddenly you present this image that is quite lackluster compared to the image that he or she was envisioning the experience. And it could create a sort of wrinkle or even distortion on that player's roleplay experience. The immersion can be affected. It could be the same case with sounds. Maybe you describe something like, and you hear the most gut-wrenching roar, resembling a groan. Now everyone is coming up with their sounds, but if you play a sound effect that goes like, it truly creates that wrinkle or that distortion, and everyone is going to, the immersion is going to shatter a bit. So you need to be very mindful of this. When it comes to things that are perhaps not as important, in the case of this is the correct way of describing the sound of a door. Maybe it's a sci-fi game. As you approach the door and press the switch, the door slides upwards with a sound. That's not very important. But if you want to instill, create this sense of the eldritch, of the unknown, perhaps cause a bit of fear and suspense, just describe the sound in the case of the monstrous roar. If you go something like, it may clash against the sound that the players are imagining, that they are actually experiencing, as if they were there. There is no hard set rule when it comes to understanding when to use these sounds or mimic them. So I would recommend that you, before the session, if there is an important sound, that you practice it to see if it has that sort of effect. Perhaps ask your family and friends, tell them, hey, I'm going to be running this session, and what do you think of this sound? And maybe they say something like, oh, that's creepy, what is that? No, you could say like, what do you think of this sound? And they say, well, it sounds kind of like a baboon or a beast that is angry, and they say something like that. And you are going for that you could say, you could think, that's the sound that I was looking for. But it's all about, like I said, it relies a lot on the context of getting a feel for the situation, but be sure that you describe things adequately. Don't be like the fake role player Shonner and be like, so I open the thing to go like bloop, and I do the thing, the bloop, and then, and certainly use the right words to describe things. Description. Prioritize description, if possible, and then you can think about using sounds in order to enhance that description. I hope this video was helpful, but definitely check out the lackluster attempt of Shonner in the description, perfect example on how not to roleplay, and then just come up with your good descriptions, and if you consider it so, make those sound effects. As always, thank you for watching my videos, thank you for your likes and your comments. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. And remember, it is better to roleplay and fail in character than not to roleplay and fail as a player. Once again, thank you, and see you later.